Now, welcome to another edition of News from Naboo with Thor's the Lightning Takes. And let's get right to the news.
Mark Hamill has a very dark headcanon version for why Luke Skywalker became.
Jake Skywalker?
Yeah, why he became Jake Skywalker, let's say, in The Last Jedi.
Okay. I
It-
have a headcanon for it too. It wasn't real. It was all a dream.
I almost like yours better than his.
Really? What is,
We'll get there. We're gonna get there.
Okay,
We're gonna
okay.
build into this because
Okay.
there's some build into this. Okay. He was, we all know, dissatisfied with Ryan Johnson's story. He made no secret of it, and he called himself Jake Skywalker. He was very upset. The movie came out like 8 years ago, and he's
No,
finally
that's
like
not possible.
going into what all was going on. He was doing another interview to promote that movie, Life of Chuck, that he's going to be starring in, and they asked him how uncomfortable he was when he found out Luke had exiled himself in The Last Jedi. Hamill started out by saying that he's kind of a big fan of Ryan Johnson, and that he thinks he did make a great movie. The quote goes, "Here's the thing. I'd like to clear this up. Ryan Johnson is one of the most gifted directors I've ever worked with. He's amiable, he's fun on set, he's smart, he made a great movie. I think the staging of the standoff between Kylo Ren and Adam Driver and I at the end, it's so well staged. The foreshadowing that I'm not really there. I mean, Adam wipes the snow away and you see the red planet beneath. I wipe the snow and there's just snow. That's so subtle. I love Knives Out and Brick and Looper. He's one of my favorite directors. And the fact that I went public with my dissatisfaction with the motivation for Luke becoming a suicidal hermit might have colored things in a way that maybe I should have kept to myself, but I kept saying to Ryan, this would just make Luke double down, even. And he said, well, your class at the Jedi Academy were wiped out. I said, Ryan, there's entire planets wiped out. If anything, Luke doubles down and hardens his resolve in the face of adversity. So that's all. And he's right. That's the Luke you know, the Luke that would have fought for this.
Yeah, I think that's the problem a lot of people have, that
Mhm.
myself I have. Luke is the face of perseverance. Like,
Right.
that's what his story is. It's about not giving up. He's a hero to so many, and to see him just like, yeah, my friends, my family, the galaxy, all of it, I don't really care. I'd rather sit here on this island and die.
Well, and you said to me over and over again, honestly, since we've seen the movie, that he redeemed his father
Yes.
from the dark side. His father that he didn't really know, that he didn't have such a strong connection with. But he's going to abandon his sister's son.
Yeah, that he was training and has known probably
Is
his
named
entire
after
life.
the Ben Kenobi.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to have faith in your father, who you've really only known through
Stories
combat,
and-
basically.
yeah.
Well, stories that he could go back and read the old HoloNet and see what Anakin Skywalker was like back in the day, assuming that hasn't all been erased. But with him, the guy he doesn't know has no reason to believe in it all. He puts all his faith in, but he sees that Ben has one bad dream, the kid he's known his whole life, again, his sister's son, his best friend's son, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to pull out my lightsaber and cut him down.
Right
And
here.
even for the briefest of sec, I understand it wasn't like premeditated or anything, even though if you're going to go into that tent and look into his head and you think you're going to see the dark side, maybe don't bring your lightsaber. I mean, it wasn't premeditated. It was spur of the moment, as he even says in the movie. But even still, like, for a brief second, like, I'm just going to kill him right here and now. Like, what?
All right. But let's continue with the story here. Hamill went on to say, can I make up my own backstory of why he is the way he is? I don't want to just say that I have bumped my head and have brain damage. He said, yeah, do whatever you want. So I made up a much darker backstory that I thought could justify him being that way. I thought, what could make someone give up a devotion to what is basically a religious entity, to give up being a Jedi? Well, the love of a woman. So he falls in love with a woman. He gives up being a Jedi. They have a child together. At some point, the child, as a toddler, picks up an unattended lightsaber, pushes the button, and is instantly killed. The wife is so full of grief, she kills herself. So this is what Mark Hamill decided, his backstory, and why Luke would exile himself, why he's closed himself off from the Force, why he's distanced himself, why he tried to kill his nephew.
Interesting. I mean, to be honest, I've had a similar theory. Not that people love it, because I'm a big fan of Mara Jade, as many of you know, and I don't want to see her fridged, I believe is the term they use.
It is the
Where you
term.
can use a female character to explain a male character's
Trauma.
trauma or whatever.
Yeah, you find the female in the life and you bring him in only to
Only
kill
kill
them.
them off,
That's
yeah.
their only purpose in the story, is to
Yes.
be his grief.
And Mara Jade deserves a lot more than that. However, in the EU, his nephew does kill. I mean, it's not the same thing, obviously, here he's talking about, but his nephew does kill Mara Jade, so. And that is, of course, his wife, for those few who don't know from the EU. But I mean, I like it in a manner of speaking. It makes more sense than like, oh, he had a bad dream one night and I got angry. That there's more to it.
That there's kind of a lead up to it, that maybe all of that happened right after that. His kid dies, his wife kills himself, and then he's like, that's it. I can't take anymore.
Yeah.
He taps out. Maybe he would have gone after Kylo Ren, but this tragedy striking when it did, it stopped him and he gave up. Hamill says, I thought it would be because I hear these horrible stories about these children who find unattended guns and wind up dead. That resonated with me so deeply that could possibly be, but he didn't have time to tell a backstory like that, I'm guessing. He just wanted a brief thing to explain it. And
Which
to
is
me,
horrible. That's probably the worst part about
it didn't justify it.
Yeah. I agree with them 1,000% there, to like make it a bad dream or like a flashback from multiple points of view.
Spent so many minutes setting up these cinematic shots that were indeed beautiful.
Sure.
You could have cut down maybe on the story about the casino. He could have cut out all of Canto Bight to give us
quest,
could have cut that whole thing out. Hamill says, that said, I told Johnson this. Despite the fact that I disagree with your choices for Luke, I'm going to do everything within my power to make your screenplay work as best I can.
Professional. Yeah.
And the only thing unfortunate about that is I've heard comments from fans who think I somehow dislike Rian Johnson, and nothing could be further from the truth.
Yeah, just because you disagree with somebody doesn't mean you have to hate them.
Exactly.
Even if it's something important, very important, obviously, to Mark Hamill, the character of Luke.
I feel like the comments should almost list a bunch of things that could have been cut to make way for Luke's backstory.
Yeah, like you said, the whole Canto Bight
the entire
amounts
thing
to like nothing. And
it
obviously you want Finn to be in the movie because he was a main character in the first one.
But they could have found a better
Much better. Finn and Poe should have been together. We didn't need Rose. There's a lot you could have done there. I've gone into it before.
Most people wanted to see a lot of Luke in the movie and not just like, hey, he's depressed, he had a bad dream, kind of tripped out a little bit, and yep, he's a hermit now.
But I mean, I like where he's going with that. Again, I don't want to see like Mara Jade used as an excuse for him getting cranky. I understand why a lot of people would just hate that. I don't love that idea. But there needs to be more to it, because he's right. There's nothing in there that justifies Luke going that far off the deep end.
Choose your own headcanon to put him there, that needed to be on the screen.
Yeah,
we needed a canon explanation, because that wasn't an explanation at all. There is no explanation for Luke's behavior.
You got to remember, the last time we see Luke Skywalker, he's smiling and I'm gonna rebuild the Jedi Order. I'm gonna go off and do all these great things. Actually, the last time we now see him is the Mandalorian taking Grogu away, and things are going pretty well there.
He was in the Battlefront game as well.
Yeah, and he's really good at that,
tracking down
actually.
A compass, and yeah,
that never amounted to anything. Yeah,
I know.
It was actually in the movie. You can see it very briefly.
You can see the compass.
Yeah, but that's actually a good depiction of Luke in that game.
So we don't see a Luke Skywalker who is set up to be the Luke that we got in The Last Jedi. It's sad that Mark Hamill came up with such a depressing story, but it works.
I guess.
It explains things better than what he did.
Better than I saw Ben had some bad thoughts and I almost killed him, and then I was so guilty that I almost killed him that I ran away.
Right.
That's brilliant.
I tried to tie everything in with Rey being his daughter and him thinking his daughter was dead, or that he had to send her away, and that added to his depression, or his wife, for the betterment of protecting the daughter from forces coming after Luke, grabbed the kid and ran, and perhaps he thought they were dead, or... Yeah. Like, I've thought of so many ways to try and make the Rey being his daughter thing all work, and... Every single one of them is better than Rian Johnson's. Yeah. Yeah. Even his head getting bumped on the wall, like...
Hey, even that is better. Even a dark side clone named Luke is better.
Or Clonikin?
Or Clonikin, if you want to go there. All right, well, I think that is all we got for you this time. Now it is your turn. Take to the comments below. Tell us what you think about this. Would this make it better if this were true? And what could you have taken out of The Last Jedi? I know some people are going to say the whole
maybe
thing.
Put in your headcanon for how Luke is the way he is. But don't be quite as graphic as Hamill was.
Well, you can go wherever you want with it.
It was rough.
But whatever the case may be, leave those comments below. Let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.